Hello, everybody. Welcome to this wonderful Sunday morning, and welcome to the Wealthy Wellbeing podcast, where I will be giving you tips, tricks, and information on how to make a habit based change to your lifestyle that produces a happier, healthier life without requiring significant restrictions. My name is Zach Bush. I will be guiding you through this, helping you out, providing all the information you need to make those small incremental steps to becoming a healthier and happier person. You can listen to all previous episodes on my Spotify channel, on my YouTube channel. Subscribe to both of those if you want to continue to support me, support the podcast, and continue to get information, up-to-date information. So today we are going to talk about exercise, activity, what are the benefits of doing both of those, the hierarchy of fitness, those stages of fitness, and how we can prioritize them, and the progression that we can expect from fitness, and how can we get started on increasing our activity level or just getting started in general, and then how can we make that process more efficient and work up that hierarchy, that pyramid that we have of fitness. So we're going to jump right into it. Exercise, activity, being active, we know that it's all super important and that it has a lot of positive benefits physically, mentally, and why? What are specific things that point to that? So there's been studies done, a ton of them, but the number of people that are active and active enough is significantly lower in America. I think we're like the 46th ranked country in that. And so not everybody's getting the proper amount. What is the proper amount? The goal and the level is 30 minutes a day. Typically it's 5 days a week as the structure. So about 150 minutes a day. So 1 in 3 adults, so over 18, get that proper 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week activity. So 1 in 3, 33%, which is pretty low. And that activity level is just any activity. It's just 30-minute walk, 30-minute run, 30-minute jog, whatever it is. It's just any activity getting up and moving about. And to go even further than that, to get that 30 minutes a day every day of the week, so 7 days a week, or doing 4-hour-long sessions, that 210 minutes a week, less than 5% of adults participate in that physical activity every day. So the amount is really, really low. So this is a reason I point this out is because it's something that we can start doing to help improve our lives, and that a lot of people aren't doing. And it can be as simple as walking. And when it comes to living a happier and healthier life, losing weight, gaining muscle, whatever that is for you, there's two pieces to that equation, right? Losing weight means we burn more than we consume. So diet and exercise go hand in hand in that. And then if we wanted to put on muscle, right, we need to consume more than we burn to make sure we provide enough energy for recovery. So, balancing the weight is a balance of nutrition and fitness or activity level. So the fact that 1 in 3 adults aren't getting the 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week, shows why obesity in America is increasing and how we can take simple steps to improve that, right? That's the point of this, is to make them small incremental steps. So it's a lifelong change, not a crash course 30-day, like, oh, I'm going to work out super hard and eat really well and then go back to the way things were, because it's unsustainable to do that. So the good thing is that adults 18 to 24 are most likely to meet the recommendations, right? You've got kids in college, they're potentially playing sports, so that activity level is there. And 24 is they're out of college now. Maybe they were playing a sport in college and that sport is no longer there. So that's when that transition typically starts to happen, where that activity level goes away. There's no structure in it. There's no have to be there for the team or enjoying playing the sport. So that's when that drop off happens. That real world work experience starts happening. And that's when work gets in the way, family gets in the way, and you don't have the free time that you had when you're 18 to 24, potentially in college. So it's good that we can take that 18 to 24, but we need to start rolling that into activity as an adult. And and maybe we were there at one point, maybe that 18 to 24 we were active, and how can we leverage the activity level that we had when we were younger and bring it into adulthood now, right? Obviously probably not playing, football or full games of soccer, but how can we take what we were doing in there and leverage that to get it started again or to increase the activity level that we had. um, so, some of the benefits of working out, like I said, we all know we need exercise. We know that it's good for us, that it helps keep us healthy. But why? What specifically is it doing? So, by working out, and again, that's that 30 minutes, 5 days a week, we lower that risk of type 2 diabetes by up to 50%. And we also lower the risk of osteoarthritis by 83%. So, that is because our body's functioning, it's clearing out the flowing blood, it's clearing out toxins, it's utilizing all the muscles, all the cells need to be working at their capacity to provide fuel, provide energy for whatever activity we're doing. And again, it can be as simple as a walk. It's still getting the heart rate up a little bit, it's getting that heart muscle moving, it's getting the lungs moving a little bit more, circulation is a lot better, so we can help clear things out, we can help stimulate the metabolism and everything at the cellular level. And going even further than that is that by exercising, it's going to make you tired, right? And maybe immediately after, and then you kind of get over that fatigue a little bit. But when you go through that exercise, when it comes to nighttime, probably even before you normally go to bed, you are going to be tired. Your body's going to say, hey, I did work earlier today. Now I need to recover and rest. And a lot of people say that they sleep better when they start exercising. I know I sleep. I most of the time have no problem falling asleep because of the exercise that I did earlier in the day. My body is ready for recovery. And I talked about sleep a few episodes ago, so we can dive into more of that if you want. You can go back and re-listen to that episode on sleep and how routines and all that help with being able to fall asleep. But exercise also really, really helps. If you expend more energy, your body wants to recover. So it's going to make you tired. So if you struggle with sleeping, exercise might help with that. It might help get your body to be like, I need to sleep. And you don't have to feel like you're forcing it. So, in addition, it increases our metabolic health. It teaches your body that it needs to generate and use energy more efficiently. If you start working out, your body adapts to whatever changes you're making. So if you're not active at all or not active that much, by increasing the activity level, your body is going to know how to generate and utilize that energy more effectively. And it'll help you become more energetic because you're going to be feeling better. And it helps with memory and maintaining a healthy weight. And in addition to all of that, exercise, because you're breaking down muscle, because you're putting strain on the bones and the tendons, and all of the body is moving and that blood is flowing, you get the effects of exercise long after you're done working out or exercising. You're up to 6 hours can be because your body's starting now the recovery process. So you burn the energy on the actual activity you're doing, whatever that is, and now your body's starting to recover from that. It wants to start repairing muscles. So it's breaking down whatever fat stores you have, whatever glucose stores you have. We talked about macros and what they do last week or 2 weeks ago. And so when you're done exercising, even if you're just sitting at your desk working, your body's still burning that extra energy to recover from the exercise. So you get not only the actual benefits of the 30 minutes of work that you did or the hour of work that you did, but 2, 3, 4 hours later, your body's still recovering from that, still burning energy. So it's helpful in that aspect too. And the more you work out, you'll build muscle, right? Even if it is just walking, you're still building muscles. You break the muscles down that you're using a lot, and they're going to build it up and get stronger. So things will get easier. And the more muscle mass that you have, the more energy you're going to burn just naturally sitting there. So when you have that higher muscle mass, you will have better time burning energy. You'll need more energy. You'll burn more calories because you have more muscle mass. So that helps regulate that healthy weight. So you see people who have a good toned figure, they have good muscular um, muscles around them, and like it's once you get to that point, it's easy to maintain. It might be hard to get there, but it definitely is easier to maintain. Yeah, just as the pain you feel today will be the strength you feel tomorrow, right? Yeah, so working through that pain today, and it doesn't have to be painful, right? We don't want the exercise to be painful. You can push it, and it might not feel great at first. You might be more tired, but in the long run, that's going to help you as long as you stay consistent with it. So, you know, the benefits are there. We know that they're there. Trying to put some numbers to how is it helpful will kind of help put things in perspective and maybe give that a little extra spark and motivation on those days where we don't feel like doing it. And now we can think, all right, this is going to help X, Y, and Z. In addition, when it comes to like actually improving things, right? Study said that 2 to 4 days of moderate exercise. So I would say more than walking, like a jog, just a little bit more. So moderate level decreases your risk of premature death by 31%, right? So, right, again, it's just improving that health, improving the muscles, improving the body's ability to work well and function well efficiently will help. So, just any activity level in general will help, but especially if we can start scaling that up to more moderate activity. So, let's talk about the hierarchy of fitness. I talked about this on a full fuel for performance thing I did a few weeks ago, and what it does is it shows the progression of overall fitness, but we can kind of relay that into exercise. So let me see. Hopefully this works. I haven't shared one here before, so I'm going to share that hierarchy here. So hopefully, okay, it looks like we can see it here. So we have at the bottom is our nutrition, right? So that is certainly always going to be the target and the most efficient, best focus of our time. No matter how much you work out, you cannot outtrain a bad diet because it is so much easier to eat a significant amount of calories than it is to burn those calories. So nutrition should always be the focus of fitness. But since we're talking about exercise and activity, those are the next tiers up. So, our metabolic conditioning, which is simply just how long can we do something before fatigue starts to set in. So, this is going to be the baseline. We want to slowly increase the amount of work that we're doing so that we can prepare our bodies to push even further, right? Maybe that's not all the way up to active sport, but it's going from nothing to eventually lifting some dumbbells. And we don't want to necessarily go from that to lifting a bunch of dumbbells or doing something for time, right? We want to go from nothing to a marathon or nothing to a 5K. We want to build up that conditioning. So building up the metabolic conditioning, increasing whatever that movement is, running is going to be a pretty easy example. So you don't just jump right in and run 3 miles in one shot. Some people might be able to, but again, it's not sustainable. We want to do those short little steps to build a nice foundation. So going out, starting with walks. If we're going from nothing, starting with walks. If maybe we're running a little bit, can we push the pace on that same distance, or can we push that same pace at a longer distance? And it's building up that base to be able to do more things. So building up the muscles, the lung capacity, the heart rate, so it gets used to that. So when we go to that next level, it's not going to be as big of a shock to the system. That next level up, right, which we won't be able to do as efficiently if we don't have the metabolic conditioning, is gymnastics. Now, it's not like, pole or vault or, uneven bars or anything like that necessarily. It's think of it as spatial awareness, how to move your body, and really how to, just having spatial awareness and being able to feel and control your body well. And what that does is it sets up for us to be able to start doing weightlifting and throwing, which is using those external objects like a barbell or, a dumbbell, and learning how to move that will help us develop more power because we can increase those weights, right? Running, you can maybe put a vest on, but long term, there's only so much you can add on there. But when you get into weightlifting, you can increase that weight. Maybe you're starting with a 10-pound dumbbell or a 45-pound bar, and then you're increasing that weight over and over and over again. You're developing more power and more strength. So it's a lot easier to increase the weight and increase power and build muscle than necessarily just building up running. And then finally, putting all of those together is sport. So now we can focus on just the general preparedness that we need to do whatever sport that is, right? If it's a triathlon, awesome. We can still use the metabolic conditioning. Obviously, that's going to be helpful with the running and biking and swimming. But to gymnastics, right? We have that bike. It's an external object. You're sitting on it. It's kind of attached, but it's still an external object that you're going to have to navigate. And then start training for that, right? The weightlifting, the more power that you have with the weightlifting is only going to help with the triathlon. I know when I was in college and had more free time, I continued doing a lot of the CrossFit stuff, the Olympic weightlifting, the power cleans and the snatches and the box jumps. And I remember after doing that for a few years being in college, and I'm not a big guy, 5'8", if you ask my wife, 5'9", if you ask me. And, you know, I'm not this big bulky guy, but like I felt more confident. I felt more powerful on the soccer field. I felt like I could jump higher than somebody that was, 6 foot tall and be able to win out something because I built all of that foundation and built that power. So it helps in sports. It helps in, even just like going through that triathlon, like having more power on the bike is going to be helpful. And that's why I think everybody should do some kind of weightlifting. I see Luke's in here. He's a lifter. He loves lifting. So like that's going to be a huge help in any facet of your life. When is strength not going to be helpful, right? And I think too, the fear is, especially for women, is that they're going to get extra bulky when they start lifting weights, right? And a lot of times you see the women who maybe are a little bit bulkier, especially if you watch CrossFit, right? But you have to remember that's their full-time job. Like they are eating and training all day and really specifically doing it to build that muscle. And it takes a lot of work to get there. If you're casually Olympic weightlifting, chances are you're probably not going to get bulky and jacked. You'll get stronger, which is ultimately the goal, and you will feel better, which is the goal. But weightlifting is something that I highly recommend, those external objects, for anyone and everyone. So that's the hierarchy, and they build on each other, right? You could go from having a good nutrition to going to gymnastics and working on or weightlifting and working on those external objects, but you may not see the results as quickly, and you might plateau quicker because you don't have that foundation of metabolic conditioning. You don't have the ability to do activity for a long period of time, or you might not be able to recover as quickly. So rather than being able to go every day, you have to go every other day because you need to give yourself more time. So while you can jump over a couple of levels, you just may hit a plateau faster. It doesn't mean you have to follow it. It's just you have to recognize that they build on each other and you can jump around. And I think, as somebody who does CrossFit, and this is a CrossFit source, is they want to cover everything. You want to build all of these components up because that's going to be the fittest person can do anything and everything. You are not specialized in one thing. You're good at everything. And I think that's super important. It's nice to be able to go and do this triathlon that I'm going to do. Now I am going to train for it. I'm going to run and bike and because I don't do that stuff often. I haven't been in the pool in forever. But I have the confidence because I have that metabolic conditioning. I have the gymnastics. I played sports and I built all of the levels of this pyramid that I feel like I can jump in and do anything. And I think ultimately that's what we all want, is to be able to not have to worry about not being able to do something physically, and exercise and activity is going to help us get there. So I love this resource. I think it's a great thing to remember and consider, and just keep it in mind as we go through, not only future podcasts, this podcast, and then even past ones. Like, it's such a good reminder. The one thing it does not include in here that I think should be important to note is sleep should be in there somewhere. I'm thinking between nutrition and metabolic conditioning, because if you don't sleep well, none of it really matters because you're not recovering well. So I think nutrition and sleep are super, super foundational to the rest of it. So let's jump into, all right, we know why exercise is good for us. We know the different levels of fitness and the hierarchy and how we can prioritize it. So, what should we start with if we're no or for somebody who isn't doing anything or doing very, very minimal, especially if we're under that 30 minutes a day, 5 days a week? What should we start with? And a lot of the times, the problem with health, fitness, I mean, starting a business, like there's so many options and so many ways to get healthy and eat well or, make money, right? It's overwhelming. The information, you see one thing that says, hey, this is great, do this. And then the other thing that says, that thing is terrible, do this instead. And I think when it goes through weighing all those options and figuring out what to pick, it's always important to find the path of least resistance. What is going to be the easiest for you to stay motivated? And then when that motivation goes, stay disciplined in doing it. I was just on a podcast on Friday talking about motivation and discipline and how you can maintain that when you don't feel like doing what you should be doing. So the biggest thing is through all these options, which is going to be the easiest for you. Now, if you're somebody who hasn't done or isn't doing any activity right now, most of the time the easiest is to just start walking. And that time period can vary. It can be a 5-minute walk around the block or around the building or around your floor even. And picking the days when you're going to do that or the times you're going to do that. I mean, I have at my job, there's a group of guys that I don't know if it's timed or whatever, but at least twice a day, a group of them, they're going out and they're walking, around the town, the three of them, and they're just going and talking and it's it's easier when you can go and just not have to think about, hey, I'm actually exercising, I'm doing activity, I'm having a conversation. So if you feel like you're talking to somebody at work or if you have a dog, like bring somebody along with you and start with just walking 3 times a week, 2 times a week, right? Whatever that is, and pick the day and time that you're going to do it. And I think that's super important, is to put it on your calendar, make it like a meeting, and then just decide to go and do it. And walking is an easy way to start, but it could even be even simpler than that, as if you're in a building and you're not on the first floor, right? Maybe your second, third, fourth floor, take the stairs instead of the elevator. And that can be your activity for the day. Even if it is just going up and then going down, just making those small changes is a great start. Now, you have some of that foundation now. Maybe you're walking 3, 4, or 5 days a week, or running, right? How can we increase that? How can we do different things, right? I always think trying different things is great, right? It's not always important on what you choose rather than just choosing something. And how do you choose? I mean, I think you can go back to what did, that 18 to 24 range that we were talking about earlier, that most adults, that's the time they hit their activity level, is what were you doing during that time? Were you an active person? Did you play sports before? What part of that sport did you enjoy, right? If you're playing soccer, probably at least enjoyed running or were able to run. So maybe that's something that you can start doing. If you swam before, maybe hop in the pool, right? Don't think you can do what you did when you were 18 and swim 6,000-7,000 yards a day, just practice, but just go in and just do whatever you can. Just get in the pool 10 minutes, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, whatever it is, just starting somewhere. But again, the important part is, when am I doing it? How long am I doing it? And how often am I doing it? And having it scheduled out is going to be super, super important, because if you leave it up to flexibility or, oh, I'll just do it on Tuesday, but I don't really know what time, a lot of things are going to get in your way. So pick the activity, pick a time, and pick a number of days that you're going to do it, and schedule that out. And then stick with that activity for, I would say, 30 days at a minimum, because what's going to happen is, you're going to be excited to go, and that excitement's you're going to be fun. All this is new, and the week's going to go by, and the excitement's going to wear down a little bit. You're like, oh, it's cold out, it's rainy, I don't feel like going, I don't feel like getting dressed to go, and the excitement's gone. So you have to kind of rely on the schedule and the discipline to keep pushing through that the valley of despair that happens, where it's like, oh, it's getting hard. I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I want to do this. Is it really worth doing? And staying committed with that, because eventually you come out of that little rut and you start feeling better and you start seeing results and it starts getting easier. And I think around that month part, I've found, is when people either go, no, I actually hate doing this, and that's why it's hard, or, okay, it's good, I'm in the routine now, I've got it going, and I'm going to continue doing it. And if you're in the first camp where you're not sure if that's something that you like doing, try something else. It's okay to try something else as long as you replace it immediately and have that same plan, right? Maybe you started with running. I personally don't love running, but I'll do it. And that's what and how I ended up doing CrossFit too. Is like I don't like running, but I'll do something else and you find it eventually. So the most important part is picking it and being consistent with it. And it doesn't matter how much you do or what you do during that time period, as long as you're doing it. Right. I had a client who wanted to get a strict pull up. And he was like, I looked at this program, looked at that program, I don't really know what to do. And, said, honestly, it doesn't matter what you do as long as you're doing it consistently. So we had a pull up program. It was a 4 week program. It was like 3 or 4 times a week with like 2 or 3 exercises. And so I gave it to him, outlined it, and like 2 weeks later, I checked in. I was like, "Hey, how's it going? Like, we were supposed to do it after class. Like, how's that working?" And he was like, "I'm way too tired after class to do these 3 exercises. Like, I don't like, so I didn't do it that much." And that just was so I was like, okay, like that's fine. I would rather you like you don't have to follow the program exactly. It's the consistency of doing it. Even if you did one exercise 3 times a week rather than 3 exercises twice a week, right? You're still doing something every day. It's better than what you did before, which was nothing, which I understand, right? You're too tired. It's like it's too much. I get frustrated. I'll just not do anything at all. So doing anything, but doing it consistently is going to be better than trying to do everything or everything perfectly. And when that doesn't happen or gets hard to happen, not doing it at all. So picking it, scheduling it, and just starting it. If you said you're going to do 30 minutes and you did 15, hey, you did it. That's all good. That's all you're looking for is the consistency, the foundation, and building on the habit over and over and over again. Okay. So doesn't matter what you pick, just pick it. So when it goes into, let's talk about action steps. If you are looking for an activity, right? Like I said, pick one, whatever you think might be the easiest for you to do, something that you can do consistently. Or if you're not sure, find somebody who is doing something or wants to do something and do whatever they're doing. Or both you come together and figure it out. So pick your activity, pick the days that you're starting to do it, and give it a go and do it for 30 days and hold each other accountable. And if you're already doing something, I encourage you to either increase the amount you're doing it. So if you're doing CrossFit 3 days a week, see if you can add another day in there or mix it up and add a day of running in there. Or even I had a client who was doing 4 days a week of CrossFit and felt like it was too much. And so we backed down and did 3 days of CrossFit and one day of like a dance class. Like she loved dancing. So, you know, the balance there kept her going more and made her enjoy it more. Because at the end of the day, we want to enjoy it. So switching it up, adding something new in there, trying something new, just because you're already doing something doesn't mean it's the best for you right now. And having the wide range of skills to do whatever is super helpful. I know I like mixing things up. I went through a period of time, probably almost a year ago, where I was strictly Olympic weightlifting, snatches, clean and jerks, all that stuff. I didn't touch CrossFit for 3 months, and it was fun. I enjoyed it, but man, by the end of it, I was ready to get back into CrossFit classes. I was ready to get back into doing other things, and you know, it kind of reinvigorates the things that you're already doing. So even if you already are super active, trying something new to mix it up always helps. It brings in that new energy, that new flair. Maybe you meet some new people doing it. So always recommend switching out a day or adding a day of something completely different. And I think it's easy to get stuck in the rut of doing the same thing over and over again. Like I said, I like changing it up, but CrossFit's great. The classes are great, but it does get old sometimes. And so I'm looking forward to swimming and biking and running as part of a supplement to CrossFit and mixing it up. And because even though I've been doing it for so long, it does get stale. So try something new if you're already doing something consistently. I know a ton of people use CrossFit as their base to work up to that top of the pyramid where there's a sport, and now they can start training specifically for that and then using other things as a supplement. So if you need help figuring out what that first step is, feel free, reach out to me, Instagram, Facebook, whatever is easiest, and I will get back to you. We can hop on a call. Again, I just want to help people get as much information as they can on becoming healthier, fitter, happier, because I know the change and the effect that it's had on me, on my life, and how I feel. And I just want everybody to be able to feel like they can do that too. In addition, I'm working on something that I see as like the biggest hurdle that people struggle with on the nutrition side, and that's meal prep. And I have a couple episodes I think I'm going to talk about the meal prep, but I am working on a guide that will make meal prep super easy. And it's something I've been doing for 8, 9, 10 years at this point, and I've gotten it down to pretty much a science. I can meal prep breakfast, lunch, dinner for the week, 2 hours on a Sunday. And I'm systematizing that and creating this guide to lay it out for people to use. And it'll include all the recipes, all of the shopping lists. It'll include like my process, the tips and tricks to make the meal prep time easier, whether you are currently somebody who can cook or currently somebody who doesn't even want to cook. Make it as easy as possible, because meal prep is the biggest hurdle that people have when it comes to getting consistent good nutrition, because they're trying to make every dinner every night and it's super time consuming. So how can we make that easier? This meal prep guide is going to do that. So stay tuned for that. I'm working on it now. I think it's going to be super great. I'm super excited to have everybody get it available to everybody. So I will keep teasing that. I will keep giving little snippets as we work through it. But thank you for coming. Subscribe to Spotify, my YouTube channel, where all these episodes will be on there. If you know anybody who could use this information, share with them, have them reach out to me, see how I can help. Again, my main goal is just to make this as easy as possible and as clear as possible for everybody to get the most success. So thank you very much. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and I will see you all next week.